Hello, everybody. This is Kai Marin, and it's a bad day for censorship. All right, I'll just read out the tweet here from Chibi Reviews. SB 20 in Texas goes into effect tomorrow. This is the bill that can potentially ban most anime, manga, and games thanks to the vagueness of its law. You can see the summary of it in the second picture. Certain obscene visual material appearing to depict a child is so broad within the bill that it could even ban Family Guy thanks to Stewie Griffin, and that's not even counting stuff like Romeo and Juliet theoretically falling under this too. I expect some massive pushback legally once this comes into effect tomorrow, because this certainly doesn't seem legal. Yeah, it doesn't, but we'll have to see. So, there's a better one down here. So we'll read this here. So adds a new section to the Penal Code to clarify and expand penalties for accessing, possessing, or promoting visual material which appears to be a child engaging in sexual acts or patently offensive sexual depictions, as enumerated in section 43.2.1. Offenses are expanded to capture new visual depictions such as AI-generated content, cartoons, animation, and other computer software-generated sexual material. Furthermore, it establishes a new standard whereupon an offense still occurs regardless of whether the depiction is of an actual child. So yeah, literally it doesn't matter. Even depictions of children in sexual situations, whatever those may be, of minors in sexual situations, or even characters that appear to be minors, can fall under this. And this is just opening up a massive can of worms. Because ultimately, we'll have to see. Like I said, this can potentially ban a lot of anime and manga. Because, look, anime in general features a lot of underage characters, as well as a lot of fan service, you know? So they hypothetically could apply this to even, like, a lot of normal shows, like My Hero Academia, because it has, like, the frickin'... I mean, basically every anime's got a beach episode, right? But anyways, though, to determine what actually... To determine whether or not this will legally stand up, you have to look at sort of the obscenity laws. Basically, in America, if a work is considered obscene, then it's not protected by the First Amendment. And we can go through here, and to be considered obscene, it needs to check all three of these boxes. So whether the average person applying contemporary community standards would find that work taken as a whole appeals to the prurient interest. Basically, that just means if it's, perverted. Whether the work depicts or describes in a patently offensive way sexual conduct or excretory functions specifically defined by applicable state law, and then whether the work taken as a whole lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. Now, now, it should be fine on the surface because, look, most of these anime do have, serious artistic value, legitimate artistic value. But you have to keep in mind that it's going to be freaking boomers interpreting this. Alright? And let's be real here. No Game, No Life is a fantastic show. Alright? I would not be surprised if whatever boomer gets in charge of this just writes off all of its artistic merit entirely and just marks it as obscene. Same thing with something like Kodomo no Jikan. Something like Sword Art Online could fall under this. That show has fan service depicting minors quite a bit, actually. Or, games like Persona, Blue Archive especially, actually. So, look, this could potentially ban tons of things just because, it's very common in anime to have minors depicted in sexual situations, whatever they may be. And if who's ever interpreting it, and if whoever is interpreting the law determines that, Blue Archive doesn't have any artistic value, then bam. Sorry, you're not allowed to to play it in Texas anymore. Anyways, we're already seeing some effects of this. It goes into, it goes into effect tomorrow, but this is interesting. After a very successful Friday, and this comes from Jast, which is just a platform that sells hentai. After a very successful Friday, we were banned from the San Japan Convention in San Antonio, Texas this weekend. Our content is too provocative for the powerful of the Lone Star State, ahead of the anti-anime bill SB 20 going into effect Monday. So, these guys have already been banned, presumably because of this bill, although it's hard to say. So as you can see here, they elaborate. The law wasn't involved, no arrest charges or prosecutions, trials or convictions. Honestly, I'll be surprised if anyone ever gets charged under this law. Its powers in this sort of private and self-censorship, not actually having cops arrest people for anime. That's basically true. I mean, we'll see how many people get, like, actually arrested for this, but what's more likely is that people just sort of censor themselves to comply with the law. You know, and we'll see what happens. It's gonna be crazy if everybody, like, wakes up tomorrow. If every Texan weeb wakes up tomorrow, they go to Crunchyroll to watch the new episode of their favorite show, and it's just completely nuked because the main characters were 17 and there was a beach episode where they were in bikinis. Yeah, so it could end up getting pretty freaking ridiculous. Let's see. Anyways, though, although some people were saying that Jast has been banned in Texas, that's not true from what I can tell. I have my VPN set to Dallas, and I can still access their store. I mean, here's Honey Pop. You can go buy it. It's on sale for $2 right now. Pretty good deal. If I do say pretty good deal, I gotta say. But anyways, this is pretty negative, the reaction. I saw this. Here's some other examples of shows that could get banned. Goblin Slayer, Bakemonogatari. Please put them on Takamine-san, High School DxD, No Game No Life 2, which I mentioned. So and like I said, though, another thing to consider is that it's not just, you know, minors. It's also characters that look like minors. So what the hell does that mean? Because, I mean, the kind of Karens who push for this censorship is, you know, people who think that frickin' Annie, that frickin' Grok AI girl, looks like a literal child. Like, Annie looks prepubescent. So, look, they could expand this to, like, honestly, they could say that characters like, oh shit, what's the frickin' green-haired girl from One Punch Man? Holy shit, I'm such an idiot blanking on that. But look, they could say, look, they could ban, say, something like One Punch Man for having a character who's an adult but petite, you know? You know, or, you know, they could fucking ban Uzaki. Or remember when people were saying that Uzaki looked like a minor? Like, it's just pure insanity. And it really is kind of depressing. And look, the whole thing is that there has been this massive push for censorship. This was kind of before this all kind of started with, like, the UK and the, you know, the Steam stuff and the Collective Shout stuff. But the thing you have to keep in mind is that this isn't even really like a left versus right thing in this case. This bill was supported by both Republicans and Democrats. It had almost unanimous support from both parties. So this really, in this case specifically, it's not even really a left versus right thing. It basically is just a bunch, well, I'll put it this way. It's a bunch of tradcuck feminists and a bunch of liberal feminists joining arms to restrict the common man. All right, that's what's going on here. Anyways, though, pretty unfortunate. Let's see, what else do I got here? But yeah, though, the censorship has been ramping up. This is funny. So, according to this guy, my PayPal account has been banned for buying smutty ebooks. Have I done something illegal? My account got banned a couple days ago for making purchases which violate the terms of service. Upon querying with staff over the phone, I've been told that it was ebooks that I've been buying. Panicking a little bit. Basically, she thinks she got... So yeah, PayPal is apparently now banning people if you buy ebooks. This is some person from the UK, by the way, so I'm sure that had something to do with it. And I find it especially ironic because, I mean, we know the frickin' meme about women and their, like, romanticy smut, okay? Anyways, though, there's some other news. Silent Hill is feminist. Big frickin' deal. And this was interesting, too. I'll round off the video with this. So, Collective Shout interview, Steam sexual violence. So, this guy did an interview with someone from Collective Shout. So, he says... So, Collective Shout interview, Steam sexual violence game defenders are abusers in real life. Collective Shout's campaign prompted Visa and MasterCard to pressure Steam into removing adult games depicting sexual violence against women, raising ethical concerns about glorifying abuse. This change enforces stricter content policies aiming to protect women from harmful media while sparking debate on censorship and platform responsibility. Oh yes, and by the way, Collective Shout did defend cuties, as Tirito is reminding us. Anyways, though, there isn't that much to say about this interview. It is interesting to sort of hear it from the horse's mouth, all right? But the thing that kind of bothers me about this is just kind of how scummy how scummy the arguments from this person kind of are. So, as you can see right here, so this is from Caitlin Roper. Nobody has a human right to simulate and enact fantasies of rape and extreme violence against women. By the way, this is in reference to them getting just, games that contain rape banned off of Steam. And they describe it almost like it's a real thing. Like, okay, no one has a right to enact fantasies of rape, but that's not what was happening. They were creating a fictional content and selling it consensually to people who wanted to purchase that fictional content. And not being able to access rape games from popular gaming platforms is a minor inconvenience, not a violation of a person's rights. I would say the right to free commerce exists, or something that one could defend. Payment processors get to determine if they do not want to host illegal content, which it wasn't illegal, including rape, sexual violence, incest, child sexual abuse, exploitation, and this is also BS because that's not on Steam. Not even stuff depicting this is on Steam. It's been banned for quite a while. Anyways, though, I could go through it like step by step. It doesn't mention in the summary, but the woman literally says that like women have a right to, like, women in general have a right for there not to be this kind of like content, for this kind of content to not even exist. Which is honestly just such an insane, like, leap. It really is crazy. This guy, I mean, he's doing decent work. But, I mean, I kind of wish he really put the screws on her. And also, it's funny how she brings up, it is clear many of the men defending their rape games perpetrate crimes of violence against women because they are doing it to... Oh, yeah. She brings up the harassment campaign against them, which is mostly BS, but... Anyways, though, she points the finger at men, but I mean, like I said, look at the meme here. Jeez. Anyways, though, yeah, that's about it for me. I don't want to go through that whole interview. In short, though, the censorship is getting worse. Now, Texas is basically on total lockdown. Anime might as well be illegal there tomorrow. All right. Unfortunately. And the real problem is that we really aren't making any big victories. I mean, Collective Shout is still on the run. This is the insane thing that kind of bothers me, is that, the government, the corporations, the elites will enact literally the most unpopular policies possible that everybody hates, but they still keep doing them. Because the whole thing is that their goal isn't really the goal of the government isn't really to help the people. The goal of corporations isn't to, sell good products. It's really all about consolidating their own power, doing what they themselves want. In the case of government, a lot of this censorship, you especially see this in the UK, it's really just about getting more control over speech, over the internet. This is why they want digital ID and stuff. All right, it's not about freaking kids. It's not about protecting kids. It's really all just about controlling the population. Yep. But anyways, though, that's about it for me. If you guys enjoyed, like the video, comment your thoughts down below, subscribe for more content in the future. Thank you guys for watching, and goodbye.